So to me, the most significant approvals were, I'm biased towards antibacterials because that's where most of my practice is. So imipenem, relebactam, and cefiderocol were both pretty significant. Imipenem, relebactam, both of them, I should say, we're waiting to actually use since they've been approved. Imipenem, relebactam has activity against both CRE and multi-drug resistant Pseudomonas. That is resistant to imipenem. And even though we've had a few agents approved, we're starting to see resistance to those agents. I'm sure we will see resistance to this one as well, but it's nice to have something, at least as an option, to treat them when it becomes available, hopefully in early 2020. Cefiderocol is an interesting drug in a lot of different ways. On the HIV side, the approval of Dovato or dolutegravir, lamivudine, is interesting because it's the first time a recommended two-agent, one-pill regimen has come out. This being recommended first line is really a bit of a change in HIV and an interesting one in that. The approval of cefiderocol was an interesting one for a couple ways. I mean, it's an interesting agent in that it has a novel mechanism of action, and that is a siderophore antibiotic binding to iron and actively transported by bacteria. Its approval, though, is intriguing because it basically went forward to FDA with one positive study and a negative study that FDA kind of considered and kind of didn't consider in their decision. And they approved it, rightfully restricted for patients with no other options for complicated urinary tract infections, which is where its positive data was. But truthfully, the study in patients with resistant infections was rather concerning and not positive. So that was a small study. The patients were extremely sick, and those studies are sort of inherently flawed. I kind of feel it's a shame because it's like the exact study design you actually want for these drugs, and the company went and did that, and the outcome wasn't what we were hoping for. So I'm cautious about its use because it didn't do well in that study, and those are the patients most likely to actually receive the drug. So I think this is an agent that we're going to figure out how to use over time. People will use it in this case, in that case, and hopefully they will report those cases, whether they're successful or not. And that sort of cumulative experience can be the guide for how useful the agent truly is in those resistant infections. Now, the company has also completed a study in hospital-acquired pneumonia that at least the top-line results were positive. So I think that can be helpful as well to determine exactly what its role is. But sort of my overall impression is very mixed and very cautious. And I think it now needs to be basically a last-line agent, which isn't what I was hoping for as it went through the approval process.